What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Mystic Watch, and today we are going over Blazing Awakening. What is Blazing Awakening, how does it work, things like that, and then I'll make a separate video on each of these guys detailing, the in-depth analysis and things like that, because of course it's actually pretty complicated, so nice to have a little explanation to it, and I'm still thinking over my thoughts and opinions on those guys, so I apologize for the lack of uploads. College is very, time management, things like that. I'm going to try to start uploading or recording videos on the weekend so then I can upload them right away. Or at least not right away, like schedule them throughout the week so I don't have to have that worry about that while I'm in school. So really quickly, what is Blazing Awakening? Blazing Awakening is a new, I guess, version of a unit. So we have 6 stars, and then Awakening is still a 6-star, but it has these red hearts on them to signify them as awakened. And now, how do you awaken something? Well, if you go to PvP, or I guess the shop, that is not the right button. So if you go to the shop, and load. I hate when it does this, just takes forever to load. So, right here. No, I think the last one's PvP. Yes, we get it. 10 crystals, whoop-de-doo. If you go over right here, these are the awakening materials. So you need 3 of the 4-star and 2 of the 5-star, I believe, or vice versa. I think that's right, but either way. And you need those to awaken the units, and they have to be at level 100. So currently it only applies to the Naruto and Sasuke, and you can actually reverse awaken them as well. And to some people that are wondering, well, why is that even useful? It's simply because, one, I'm not sure if this works that way, but let's say you awaken them and you get a dupe. I don't think you can feed the dupe into them unless you... I think you should be able to, but I don't want to say it for sure. So you might have to unawaken them to feed the dupe, but don't take my don't take that with a grain of salt. It's just a theory. I can't confirm it right now. Now the other thing is that, unfortunately, to awaken them, you are forced to play PvP. But then there is a side to that is good and bad. One, the reason you'd be awakening them is because you are going to play PvP for the most part. Because, put it simply, is that when it comes to awakening, these 2 units go down in stats for PvE. And if you guys don't know what PvE is, it is simply player versus environment. So anything that literally isn't Ninja World Clash counts as PvE. And PvP refers to player versus player. So pretty much when you go from this version, right, we're taking a look at this these stats over here, 22, 16, 1808, and that's short range, and we compare it to here, awoken, you can actually notice that the stats go down even though they're awakened, which is kind of weird because just the concept of awakening, or what we know to be awakening, is an increase in stats and things like that, more powerful unit. But the reason they probably did this is because when you awaken, if you now take a look at the PvP stats up at the top, right, this is the unawoken version up top, the 35k, 2.7k, and the 158 speed. Now if you compare it to here, you'll actually notice that they increase when you awaken it by a good amount. So for the most part, you are actually awakening them for that PvP mode. And when it comes to their jutsus, the ultimate jutsu, they both change and they don't, so the first jutsu changes completely from this version to the next, and the ultimate jutsu stays the same, but it has a different effect. So really quickly, I'll show these things on their separate analysis video. Actually, I can just click them and show you guys. This is a attack boost. So what it does is 25% boost to allies in range for 7 turns and restores 1 chakra, but it doesn't apply to himself. So at most, he can do this to 2 separate people, and he'll boost them both for 25%, and he'll restore each of them with 1 chakra. So that's pretty cool. I don't know how strong it is yet, but that's just what the jutsu does. Ultimate jutsu is literally 1 Naruto's jutsu, and it is a 13 times attack to a single enemy, 14 times if their body. It's a pretty solid multipliers, but it's not better than 1 Naruto at the end of the day, just because he doesn't have that self boost. And then you got the Dupe Abilities, 15% body reduction, 100 self-heal, 15% body reduction, 100 self-heal. And then you got ignores barrier. Now we get down to here, this is where things start changing up. The first jutsu changes completely to, it is just a single target attack that is a 4.8 multiplier and pulls them closer. But actually, this is where it's weird. You can see here there's two boxes of text for the first jutsu. The second jutsu, or the second box of text, refers to the PvP jutsu, and they have a completely separate PvP jutsu now. So the PvP jutsu ends up being 6.5 times attack to one enemy in range, right? And that's where essentially the first jutsu stops, right? It is just a single target damage with a 4.8 multiplier. But then the second jutsu, or the second PvP version, has a second block of text to it that says 80% chance to block them from switching for 6 turns and pulls them closer. Now put it this way, right? It's 5 chakra, so you can't use it on the first turn, but like, imagine you literally just screw around with people in PvP with this thing. So it's pretty busted, and unfortunately the way they released it is that they literally nerfed a lot of the top tiers in PvP, but not the really top tier. Like, they nerfed Tobirama, they nerfed Minato, skill Minato. A couple other people got hit, like Izumu, Shikamaru, Gaara, and then they released these guys that are just absolutely busted, and I'll get to Sasuke in a second. And the ultimate jutsu is 10 chakra, 18 times attack and skill to one enemy, negates type disadvantage and knocks them back. And the ultimate jutsu for PvE is the same thing, but it is a less of a multiplier. It is an 11.5 times multiplier. So that's where it's like, that's where it's really tricky, because you 100% for sure, if you want to use these guys in PvP, you're going to awaken them. But when it comes to PvE, which version is better? And that's what I'll be going over in my analysis video. And then it's also dupe abilities change up completely. So he has restores 200 HP every turn, and then he has 1 boost speed by 30, and then 2 reduced chance of being immobilized by 30%. So he is pretty much a like PvP god. And with another 30 speed, it's like, you know, you're at 260 pretty much. And at that point, you are pretty damn powerful. Like, you're at 260 speed, you're essentially the new Tobirama, right? Because Tobirama had 280 speed and 40k health, and then less attack than this. But it's essentially the same thing at the end of the day. So it's kind of nuts. So he's literally Tobirama with a broken kit. Now, moving on to Sasuke. Sasuke goes under the same effect, right? He is a mid-range unit that, when awakening, loses stats, but when his PvP stats actually go up, right? So, same concept, but they don't go up as much as Naruto. I guess his attack goes up a lot more, but, you know, just something to keep in mind. And then I won't go over Sasuke's too much because I'm just trying to explain the concept and everything. But pretty much Sasuke's is his PvE form, 4 times attack to all enemies in range, knocks them back. I'm reading the wrong form. It's actually 5 times attack to a single enemy, right here. All right, 5 times attack to a single enemy, 6.5 if they are immobilized. 8 chakra is, actually I want to look at this because the Raid Sasuke doesn't have a animation on his jutsu, but this one does. So it is 10.7 times attack and body to one enemy, removes their barrier and knocks them back. Yeah, there we go. The other one doesn't have the storm animation, so it's pretty nice. And in terms of dupe abilities, this PvE version of Sasuke is better than the PvE version of Naruto in my opinion. Because the dupe abilities, what they say is, he has 3 reduced damage from skill by 15%, and the fact that he's body means that, so at the end of the day, that's 45% damage reduction. And it's from the element he's weak against. So in terms of PvE, you'd be running the Sasuke a lot, right? If you have max dupes. So in terms of PvE, this guy is really strong. And then what does he do in his awakened form? What does his PvE stuff change to? So it ends up being a 4 times attack AoE. And you gotta remember that, you know, he also lost attack as well. So he lost about 300 attack. So, you know, it's going to be doing less damage, and noticeable less damage. Then the ultimate jutsu is 12 times attack to one enemy. It removes their barrier and perfect dodge. So the ultimate for this one actually goes up in multiplier and has the increased effect of removing perfect dodge as well. So in a sense, the ultimate gets a bump, and they actually both pretty much get a bump up in terms of what they do. It's just that the attack takes a hit. Now the dupe abilities end up being changed to reduce chance of being sealed by 30, boost speed by 30, reduce chance of being sealed by 30%. Sorry, he has 2 reduced chance of being sealed by 30%, 1 reduced chance of being immobilized by 30%, and the last one is 20% chance of erasing chakra consumption on ultimate jutsu. So literally Madara's last dupe ability. And the most important one for his PvP version, I guess you'd call this, is that the speed boost. Now, what does the PvP jutsus end up doing? Well, it's 5.2 times attack and body to all enemies in range, a 60% chance to block their chakra for 5 turns. And then the ultimate jutsu is 17 times attack to one enemy, removes their barrier and perfect dodge. So the normal jutsu is kind of busted, 60% chance to block their chakra recovery for 5 turns, and that is AoE. So let's see if it shows you the hitbox. Let's see the hitbox. Okay, so it is a mid-range hitbox, and that is yeah, you know, unless the hitbox changes for PvP, that is pretty damn good. So at the end of the day, well, what are my thoughts and opinions? Well, I like the concept of Blazing Awakening. I think it's cool that you can have 2 forms, both of which seem to have a lot of value, and you can jump back and forth between the 2. You know, the fact that you are able to pull a unit and essentially have access to 2 different units is pretty cool in my opinion. The one thing that I'm disappointed is that the older units should have gotten this Blazing Awakening rather than new units who then awaken, because older units need to be brought up to par with newer jutsus and newer multipliers that can only literally happen if you give them a rebirth or a Blazing Awakening. So, you know, just limit breaking older units doesn't cut it anymore, because they have old multipliers and old kits which need to be updated. So that's the biggest thing about this that I'm kind of disappointed in. But overall consensus, it's like 50-50, right? There's good things and bad things to it. Bad thing I just explained. Good thing is that you're essentially getting access to multiple units. Both forms are pretty cool. And of course, the Awakened form is 100% must-have for PvP. Another bad thing is that these guys make PvP. These guys are busted in PvP. So if you ever run into them and you're not running them yourself, chances are you're going to lose. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is right now, because balance sucks at not balance. Bandai sucks at balancing right now. So that's really it for the most part. I'll make an in-depth analysis. So hopefully you guys understood Blazing Awakening a bit more, and we'll see how they roll it out in the future. These are the first 2 units, so we can't say for sure what the entire concept is yet. So once we get a little bit more, and we don't know how frequently this is going to happen either. So that's really it for now. Thank you guys for sticking around. If you liked it, let me know down below. If not, that's okay. See you all next time. Peace out.